Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty big news when it comes to Xbox, where apparently now Xbox is getting into pretty big legal issues right now. Now, as you guys probably know, Xbox had a big thing with the FTC, the SEC, pretty much the entire government bodies of the entire planet when it came to the Xbox acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Now, this was a really, really big Activision acquisition. I always like to say it that way because it kind of goes in rhymes, where pretty much the entire planet was all eyes on it. It was $70 billion, which if you guys just don't have a good rough idea of how much that is, a lot of companies don't even break that barrier of money. Like, it's insane amounts of money to the point where there's huge, probably companies you've seen like in grocery stores or some general areas or technology places, whatever it might be, that are not even a fraction of how much that is. Like, we're talking bigger money than, say, Ubisoft, than EA, and a lot of other various companies too as well you probably have heard of just in the day-to-day thing. Like, basically even a place you even like drive by. Like, it's a lot of actual money. So that basically put a lot of scrutiny towards what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and also the plan of afterwards. And we're going to talk about this a bit more because apparently the government is very much not happy right now with how the Xbox even handled the acquisition right afterwards, and they were kind of giving Microsoft a little bit of a freebie, it seems, and right now that freebie is getting a little bit more heat than expected. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, give me your thoughts and comments and everything down below, and of course I appreciate you guys also for watching here in the first place, and sign up for Weeble because I want to get a bunch of free stocks, trying to go sound like an auctioneer over here, trying to go get a bunch of free stocks, so you want to sign up for Weeble, a little bit of money and go get a bunch of free stocks, so you get to go from there, just for all selling all that good stuff, all down below. Let's go dive in the video itself. So, as you guys have probably seen, or you guys have maybe heard me cover, I did a lot of coverage when it first came out. Basically, the Activision acquisition was a big deal. Some countries were against it, thinking it was a big monopoly. Some countries were just fully against it in general, and a lot of other countries were all for it. As of where it is right this second, it is technically going through, like the merging process has begun for at least a little bit, and of course, while there is still like very slim chances for it to be stopped, as of this point, like we just consider it fully done, which is fine. Like, it's moving on, it's good, we just assume it's all good. There's like a few, like I said, those caveats, like a little asterisk, but right now it's not that big of a deal. But a lot of the United States government was very unhappy with how this deal was managed. They obviously had a little bit of a block. They were trying to go and sue them. They were trying to go and kind of somewhat say it might be a monopoly, and there was a lot of drama if you guys remember this. But as of right this second, we have actually now heard that the United States of America Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, has now filed suit against Microsoft Corporation right this second in regards to how they're basically handling the ending of this acquisition and the start of the acquisition right now. Because if you guys missed it, there was a really big, large amount of jobs that were now being laid off. A lot of people lost their jobs. Activision and Blizzard folks were basically getting fired or laid off, or they kind of maybe become also obsolete to the point where they're just not really needed, which I will say does make sense in the Xbox side. Let's go and say you have like really good graphics engineers, 3D modelers, or marketing staff already who've been there for a long time and they can handle their stuff. It's understandable that you don't necessarily, let's say you have like a big social media team. Let's use that for now, like Twitter, YouTube, whatever. And they're on point and they're coming up to them with other Xbox executives being like, hey, can you handle just being like the head honcho for all of this big company instead of just, only Xbox? Can you do more? Can you expand out? Is your team good? And the team could be like, yeah, it's fine. Like, we have like a really nice tight ship. We understand what we want. We can maybe hire like a few more people, but like, yeah, we're good. So then obviously you want to go get rid of all the Activision folks because you're going to do things a little bit differently at Xbox. In a normal general sense, that's fine. Like, that's okay. Like, I understand that on a business level. But when it comes to a big monopoly and or having affecting the jobs economy, this made really big widespread news. This affected the stock market, which, although you could kind of go and say a lot of things do, this affected the jobs market too as well. And if you're a big government body and you go and kind of allow this merger, which people were concerned about being a monopoly, and then the second it basically goes through, you have a lot of people losing their jobs, yeah, you look kind of bad. And so does Microsoft too, at least to the government, where they have this sent over here too from the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, which is pretty much the highest circuit, I would believe, when it comes to the just federal law. Like, basically, if you guys don't know, when it comes to legal law, you have a chance to go and appeal to general circuits, and the circuits keep on going higher and higher and higher until it becomes the Supreme Court. Saying, "Dear Mrs. Dwyer, the Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC, writes to notify the court of Microsoft's publicity reported plan," because this went very viral that everyone saw they're going to lose jobs, "to eliminate 1,900 jobs in its video game division. This newly revealed information contradicts Microsoft's representations in this proceeding, which seeks to temporarily pause Microsoft's acquisition of Activision pending the FTC's evaluation of the merger's antitrust merits. So this could be really big news right now. Like, because number one, a lot of people thought this was going through. That's why I kept on putting those asterisks in my videos, because there's always chances like this to happen. This is literally the United States government. This is the FTC from Washington itself, from the Attorney Office of General, it's like big. This is big. Microsoft, and they're basically saying that Microsoft lied in court and now their representations of how they're going to deal and manage everything off of this deal in the first place. Microsoft represented that this court that the post-merger company will be structured and operated in a way that would readily enable Microsoft to divest any or all of the Activision business as robust market participants in the unlikely event that such a disventure is ordered. So the EFC from 20, opposition of injunction pending appeal at 23, basically kind of like quoting like the legal like documentation of when they said it. Further, Microsoft argued that the principal public equity that would be served by an injunction to maintain the pre-merger status quo. This is basically them going and saying, we want you to maintain the status quo. Like, we're going to allow this merger, but like you can't be doing crazy stuff. You can't be adjusting things. You have to make sure it's like maintaining the status quo because people might lose their jobs. They kind of like, for 2,000 people, that's kind of a big deal when it comes to the tech sector because that does affect the other tech sectors. Microsoft is like the biggest company in the entire planet right now, and that's the entire planet. So people have their eyes on them. That affects like the actual economy, the tech economy, gaming economy. And while it may not be the biggest, like it matters. Like it really does matter. It's literally the biggest company in the entire planet. And this is also them kind of being caught in court law, basically saying, hey, we're going to maintain everything. It's going to be chill. Don't worry. We're Microsoft. We got money. Like the jobs aren't going to be affected. It's fine. And this is where they caught lying. Like the government is quite literally calling out Xbox right this second, saying you were going to maintain the status quo. And why are there now getting people getting laid off and fired? What is going on here? Because you just got this big acquisition merger. And is also not implicated by Microsoft's venture. They're basically saying to maintain the status quo and is not implicated by Microsoft's vertical acquisition of Activision, which Microsoft intends to operate as a limited integration studio. Microsoft claimed that the public equity favoring an injunction is more acutely implicated in horizontal mergers where competing entities integrate their operations and in the process often eliminate redundancies. They're basically trying to say like, hey, like we wanted you to maintain what was going on. This is a big acquisition. It's $70 billion. People are kind of opposed to it. We saw PlayStation against it, Nintendo against it, other companies as well, but not even the consoles against it. And while they were kind of slinging out Call of Duty deals and other like exclusivity deals, it still was overall kind of leaving people a bad taste in their mouth. As a consumer, I'm cool with it. As a business person, I can see why people hate it. Saying Microsoft recently reported plans to eliminate 1,900 jobs in its video game division, including its newly acquired Activision unit, contradicts the foregoing representations it made to this court. Basically saying, hey, we allow this acquisition to happen, but you couldn't have lied about it. And you lied about it because what you're saying is like, we're going to maintain status quo, it's going to be good, we're going to expand out this stuff or whatever. And at the same time, it's like rough. This is rough. So it's crazy. Saying, specifically, Microsoft reportedly has stated that the layoffs were part of an execution plan that would reduce areas of overlap. Basically, kind of how I was explaining before. Some Xbox employees are already there. They don't need to double hire 3D modelers. They don't have to double hire, let's say, server hosters. They don't have to double hire people maybe doing marketing. Whatever it might be, they don't necessarily need it because they already have it at Xbox. So they're going to just lay off the people from Activision and these big layoffs because they don't need it. But that's what the government wasn't expecting to happen. So between Microsoft and Activision, which is inconsistent with Microsoft's suggestion to this court that the two companies will operate independently post-merger. So they're basically trying to say Activision Blizzard is supposed to be its own company, running by itself. They'll make money for Xbox and have cute little tie-ins, but at the same time, they weren't going to be like a big mega conglomerate, which is a big issue with the antitrust and monopoly laws. They're probably like, yeah, it could still coexist. It makes sense. It's just a subsidiary. But instead, this is kind of them trying to say we're forming this into a megacorp. And obviously, the big reason why the government was against this because you don't want to keep forming into big megacorps. And it seems like they are making a big megacorp. Once again, though, for consumers, it might be fine, but for big government bodies or PlayStation or Nintendo, this is a big issue. And they basically were lying to the core of their proceeds right afterwards. And but also, this is not even done yet. Like, they're still integrating the companies between each other. They're also saying, moreover, the reported elimination of thousands of jobs undermines the FTC's ability to order effective relief, should be pending administrative proceeding results, and a determination that Microsoft's acquisition of Activision violated Section 7 of the Clayton Act that reported layoffs, thus underscore the FTC's need for injunction relief pending completion of the administrative proceeding. Basically saying, hey, this court case is not over, and and we need to go and keep this on going. So this is scary news for Xbox, and in theory, it kind of makes sense. They're trying to say, like, everything's gonna be all good, all normal, and then they lay off a bunch of people, and they kind of form this megacorp, which is the whole reason why they didn't want to have this big monopoly issue in the gaming sphere and tech sphere as a whole. So I want to hear your thoughts, because this is some pretty crazy stuff to go and see, and worth making the video this late at night. So I want to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch screen down below. Sign up for Webull, deposit a bit of money, you guys get a bunch of free stock, and I appreciate y'all for watching here in the first place.